Teach Up Spring, Second Grade Math Intervention, Lesson 3, Models for Multi-Step Problems, TEK 2.4c. Welcome, scholars. Thank you for joining me in today's lesson. Write equations to represent addition. TEK 2.4c. Solve one-step and multi-step word problems involving addition and subtraction within 1,000 using a variety of strategies based on place value, including algorithm. So I want you to remember this question. How do you write number sentence to represent a problem? So you're right. Today we're going to be working on word problems and how we're going to write number sentences or equations to represent the problem. Today's strategy, we're going to be using Spring's problem-solving process map. So take a look in the first box. What do you know? Data. Read the problem. What questions do you have? What do you already know about the topic? What word meaning do you already know? Can you make a prediction so far? Is there a helpful visual or graph provided? So these are strategies we're going to be looking for when we're trying to figure out what I do know. Box number 2. What do you need to know? The question. Read the question. What is it asking? What information do you have that will help? What information is missing? Do any visuals or graphs have labels that help? Can you make any predictions based on the information provided? The next box, model strategy, make a plan. Are you asked to identify representation or true statement? Is there an equation formula to solve to get the answer? If so, what operations should you use? Do you need to find missing information in order to answer? Is there more than one way to solve the problems? What is your model representation, such as a number line, an area model, an array, or a diagram? What is your strategy, such as skip counting, working backwards, or finding a pattern? And then in box number 4, solve it here. So this is where we're going to solve the problem. Use your strategies to work out the problem. Be sure to work out all the steps needed before answering. Double check your work, including all calculations. Read the problem and question one more time. Is your answer reasonable? If not, choose another strategy. Justify your answer. So this is the strategy we're going to be using to solve problems. So in this lesson, you're going to need a sheet of paper and, well, maybe a couple sheets of paper, and then you're going to fold them to make 4 boxes to create your problem-solving map. Before we get started in today's lesson, we need to take some time out to look at vocabulary words that we're going to be using in the lesson. Addition, to join 2 groups. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Subtraction, to take away part of a group or to compare the sizes of 2 groups. 3 minus 2 equals 1. Number sentence, a mathematical sentence using numbers and symbols. 3 minus 2 equal 1. Equations, a number sentence that uses the equal sign to show that 2 amounts have the same value. 8 plus 9 equals 17, or 8 equals 17 minus 9. Solve, find the answers to a problem. 17 minus 9 equals. So in our lessons, we're going to be solving for word problems. Before moving in today's lesson, we need to get started on our do now. This is where we're going to practice subtraction before working on our word problems. I need to refresh your memory on how we need to subtract. There are going to be times where you may have to regroup. For this assignment, you are going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. You're going to work the 6 problems on your own, and then we're going to come back together to work out the problems. Do now. Let's check and review. Practice two-digit subtraction. Write the difference. So we're going to look over the work that you did on your own and compare your answers to make sure you got them right. If you did not get it right, just correct it as we go. Number 1, 50 minus 18. So remember always to line up your ones place. So I'm going to subtract 0 from 8, which I know 0 is a small number to take 8 away from. So that means I have to regroup. So I'm going to regroup from the 5. So the 5 tens is going to become 4 tens, and the 0 ones will now be 10 ones. So now I'm able to subtract 10 minus 8 gives me 2. And in my tens place, I have 4 tens minus 1. That gives me 3. So my answer is 32. Number 2, 43 minus 17. So remember, we always start on our ones place when we're starting to subtract. 3 minus 7. I can't do 3 minus 7 because 3 is a small number. So that means I have to regroup from the tens place. So in my tens place, I have 4 tens. So the 4 tens is going to become 3 tens. And the 3 in the ones place is no longer 3, it's 13 ones. So now I can subtract 13 ones minus 7 gives me 6. And 3 minus 1 gives me 2. So my answer is 26. Number 3. I have 75 minus 18. So remember, I always start from my ones place to subtract. So I have 5 minus 8. So I know that's impossible to take 8 away from 5. So I have to regroup. So I'm going to regroup from the tens place. So the 7 tens is going to become 6 tens. And the 5 ones will become 15 ones. Now I'm able to subtract in my ones place. 15 minus 8 gives me 7, and 6 tens minus 1 gives me 5. So my answer is 57. Number 4, I have 22 minus 6. Well, I know that I'm going to always subtract starting with the ones place. So 2 minus 6 is impossible because 2 is a small number. So I have to go to my tens place to regroup. So in my tens place, I have the number 2, which is going to regroup to become 110. And in my 2 in the ones place is no longer just the 2 ones, it is the 12 ones because I took a 10 away from the tens place. So the 12 ones minus 6 will give me 6, and 1 minus nothing will give me 1. So number 4, my answer is 16. Number 5, I have 60 minus 35. So remember, I'm always going to start with my ones place. So I can't take 0, can't subtract 0 minus 5. So that means I have to regroup, and I need a 10. So I'm going to go to my tens place, and that 6 is now a 5, and my 0 ones is now a 10 because I took a 10 away. So 10 minus 5 gives me 5. 5 minus 3 gives me 2. So my answer is 25. Number 6, I have 42 minus 34. So I'm going to start my subtraction in the ones columns. So I have 2 minus 4, which is impossible because 2, I can't take 4 away from 2. So that means I have to regroup in the tens place. So I'm going to actually take the 4, and that 4 is going to become a 3 because I need that 10. So that 4 is a 3 now. I have 3 tens. So in the ones place, I took a 10 away from the tens place. So I don't have 2 ones now. I have 12 ones. So 12, now I'm able to subtract. 12 minus 4 gives me 8, and 3 minus 3 gives me nothing. So the answer is 8. I hope you got your do now problems right, and I believe we're ready to move on to today's lesson. Let's get started. We're going to watch a video on how we're going to use equations to solve our word problems. I also provided you with the link just in case you wanted to watch it later and over again. Let's practice. Models for multi-step problems. Complete the models for the steps you do to solve the problem. Model for multi-step problems. So today we're going to analyze the word problems to determine which operation to use to solve multi-step problems. So here's our problem. Mr. Wright had 34 blue pencils and 25 red pencils. He gave 42 pencils to students. How many pencils does he have now? So think about the strategies that we use to solve word problems. So if you can remember our 4 boxes, that's awesome. So in the first box that we do, we have to think about what's the data, what's the information that we already know. So we know Mr. Wright had 34 blue pencils and he had 25 red pencils, and then he gave 42 pencils to students. So then in box 2, we have to determine, well, what is the question asking us? Well, we know the question is asking how many pencils does he have now? So remember how much he had at the beginning and then how many he had after he gave some pencils away. And then in box 3, we have to solve the problem, come up with our plan, and then box 4, we have our answer. So let's look at the problem again. Remember, you always need to read the problem at least 2 to 3 times. Mr. Wright had 34 pencils and 25 red pencils. He gave 42 pencils to students. How many pencils does he have now? The first sentence tells you what Mr. Wright had. So we know Mr. Wright had 34 pencils. So I can go ahead and count 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4. 34 and 25 red pencils. So that's 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we know that's how many pencils he had. So we needed to add 34 plus 25. So 4 plus 5 gives me 9. 3 plus 2 gives me 5. So we know he had 59 pencils altogether. But then the second part asks, it tells us he gave 42 pencils to students. So then let's look at the little drawing. It says the second sentence tells you that he gave 42 of the pencils to students. So here we have 59 pencils altogether, but he gave 42 away. That means we need to subtract. So I'm going to do 59 minus 42. 9 minus 7, 9 minus 2 is 7, 5 minus 4 is 1. So we know Mr. Wright has 17 pencils now. Now it's time to practice on your own. You have 3 problems that you're going to work on your own and solve on your own. Problem solving subtraction. Label the model, write a number sentence, and you're going to solve for the missing number. Remember to use your problem solving strategies by creating your problem solving mat. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to solve those 3 problems and use your problem solving mat to help. And then we're going to come back and we're going to check the work together. Let's share. I know in order for you to solve the problem, you guys created your problem solving process mat. So let's go ahead and compare our answers. So I'm going to read the problem. I know you guys read it 2 to 3 times, but I'm just going to read it again. Jenna has a train of 26 connecting cubes and a train of 37 connecting cubes. She gave 15 cubes to a friend. How many cubes does Jenna have now? So in box number 1, what do you know? Well, we know Jenna has a train of connecting cubes of 26 and 37 connecting cubes. She gave 15 cubes to a friend. Box number 2, what do we need to know? So the question is asking, how many cubes does Jenna have now? Create a bar model. So we know that she has 26 connecting cubes and 36 connecting cubes. But then she gave 15 away to a friend. So how much does she have now? So the very first part we need to do in step 3 is we got to figure out, well, how many cubes does Jenna have? So we know she has 26 connecting cubes of her train and then 37. So we created a bar model that has 26 and 37, but we got to figure out the total. In step 4, where we solve it, we're going to do 26 plus 37. 6 plus 7 gives me 13, and then I have to regroup and carry that 1 over to the tens place. Well, carry the 10 over to the tens place. So 2 plus 3 gives me 5, plus that 10 gives me 6. So we know altogether how many cubes she has is 63. But I'm going to read the problem again. It says, how many cubes does she have now? So I'm going to go back to box number 2 because we only talked about how much she has altogether, but we need to figure out the rest of the problem because in box number 1, it says she gave 15 cubes to a friend. So in box number 2, I have to do another bar model where I have 15. So at the bottom, I know the total is 63 now, but then she gave 15 away. So in problem solving number 3, box number 3, I got to figure out how much did she give away. So in box 4, I need to solve it. So I need to solve 63 because that's how much she had altogether, but then she gave 15 to a friend, and we have to figure out what's left. So 63 minus 15. So remember to line up your ones place. So 3 minus 5 is impossible, so that means I have to regroup. So that 3 is now a 13. 13 ones minus 5 gives me 8. And that 6 tens, remember I had to borrow from the tens place. That 6 10 is now a 5. So 5 minus 1 gives me 4. So the correct answer is 48. I hope you guys got that correct. It's exit ticket time. This is the time that we are going to reflect to see what you have learned in today's lesson. So you are going to need a sheet of paper and you're going to solve the problem using your equation. Remember to use your problem-solving strategies by creating your problem-solving mat. Don't forget to write out your equations to solve the problem. And don't forget to read the problem more than one time. Good luck! Hey scholars, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to teach you about how to solve for word problems using different strategies. Remember, if you need additional help, remember to always reach out to your teacher, or you can always email your teachers with questions. I hope to see you again.